G'day there, it's Rachel here from Bushedge Homesteading Australia, and I've got my youngest with me today.
Hello!
Because today we're going to go, well, very quickly and brave this rain to go down there and pick a whole bunch of asparagus that has been popping up over this past week.
We're very brave.
We are very brave because it's not been very nice out there today, has it?
No, it's been very cold actually.
Yeah. We're going to go down, we're going to go grab those asparagus, and then we're going to take them inside because I think it's a good day to kind of hide inside, and we're going to turn them into pickled asparagus. Because you love asparagus, don't you?
Oh, I hate asparagus.
Well, at least you're honest. For the rest of us, though, in the family, we do love pickled asparagus, and one of the ways that we use them is in yummy salads, and I do it a little bit different. So I'm going to show you how we do that so that we can use it in the salad recipes that we like it in. And don't worry, we'll have a side salad for you, huh?
Yep. Fun fact, asparagus makes your pee stinky.
That it does. Oh, it's always a fun time when you're in the garden with me, isn't it, Goose? Right, let's go down and let's get picking. Looks like Coops is going to help us as well. All right, so this is the area that we grow our asparagus. And you probably noticed there's a very unattractive garden feature here at the moment. It's a piece of the material that you use for greenhouse repairs that didn't fit when we did our greenhouse repairs. And you've probably seen me use this in a few different spots around the place now. The reason it's here at the moment, though, is because this guy over here, Cooper, loves just kind of running through anywhere he possibly can, particularly when he's all about the ball. And even though I'd kind of put up some of this kind of wooden barrier, he was still just kind of charging straight through. So having that more solid barrier at the moment means he is not breaking off all of these tender asparagus. So I'm just going to climb over this fence and I'm going to show you what we've got going in here at the moment. So there is a whole bunch of little ones that are kind of just still coming through like that. We're obviously not going to pick those today. There's some that are kind of thin and I'm just letting them kind of go to fern. They're still good eating, but you know, being a bit smaller, they don't cook up as well. And then we've got some really good ones like these ones here. That will be perfect for picking today. As you can see, there's a whole bunch more all coming through. Hopefully they don't get all bug eaten because of this wet weather. In fact, you can kind of see this one. Looks like that one there's had a little bit of a munch on it already. That's okay, we'll get those ones today. So we've got a couple of different varieties in here. I can't actually remember the name of this one here off the top of my head. I never, however, forget the name of this one over here. You can see these ones here. They are super duper thick and beautifully big asparagus. Those ones there are called fat. I don't know that I can actually say it on a YouTube video because we might end up getting in trouble, but fat bees. I'll let you look that up. But yeah, that's what that variety is, and they are a beautiful big asparagus. All right, do you want to do the honours? And do you want to pick those ones there? Do you remember how to do it?
Pick these, yep. Fun fact actually, Dad accidentally left these in the washing machine, so they actually, you might notice they're more clean.
I've had a little bit of a clean.
Should I cut this one?
Yeah, I reckon that one looks really good. Do you remember, as low as possible? So down lower, 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 and then snip. Beautiful. Do you want to show us that one?
Yep.
Because in your hand, I think you can really appreciate exactly how fat they do actually get. So I really like them just like that, straight out of the garden. When you're walking around, you can kind of pick them fresh. Well, I think we're only going to have just enough for the pickles that we're doing today. There's obviously more coming through, so we'll be able to do more later in the season, but I want to make sure I've got enough to actually make it worthwhile doing a batch in the kitchen today.
Do you want to do a trade? I'll give you supplies and you give me the phone and I'll record you. Step with you now.
Alright, I'll lean in and get a few of these ones. Oh. Go that one. Oh. see if I can do some stretches and get all the way over here without stomping on any of the little ones. Maybe that one. Get some weeds out while I'm over here. Alright, I'm going to get those ones over there next. I do have to be careful because there's lots of little ones just kind of poking through at the moment. I reckon we will actually have quite a few in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to give you back those and then let's go down to that bottom level.
Snip, snip, snip.
Jeepers creepers, look at all the water. The water tank is overflowing at the moment, so good thing we've got gumboots. You've got yours on too, don't you?
Yep.
Awesome. Well, next we're going to get some of the asparagus out of this one. It's a little bit easier to get to here. And there is also a lot more of it in this bed. All right, mister, do you want to start chopping?
Yep, in this big muddy pan. Snip. Time to go super speed. Snip.
There we go. So not the biggest batch of asparagus in the world, but that will make a batch of pickled asparagus for the shelf. So time to head inside, eh?
Yep.
All right. So my youngest has also grabbed a few chilies for us because we're going to use those in today's recipe as well. But can I get your help? And while I go grab out the jars and the steam canner, because we're going to steam can these up today, are you able to give them a bit of a wash?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah, I can do it.
Here's a few more from the fridge that we've been picking during the week. And that hopefully will help us get about 8 jars. The jars we're going to use are half pints. The reason we do the half pints is because of how we like to use these, which I will share with you a little bit later when they're in the jars. As always, we're just going to give these a little wash up and put some hot water in there because we do need to make a hot brine with that one. So it'd be good to get those start warming a little bit. While I do the jars, do you mind starting to peel some garlic for us?
Sure.
That's all of our jars washed up, and I've got hot water out of the tap in there to warm those up. We've also now got all the bits and bobs that we need out to make our pickled asparagus, but I will say there's going to be a few adaptations from this recipe that we're going to use today, and this one here is from the Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving. A few things that I will be sticking to exactly, of course, is things like the acid ratios between like the water and the vinegar, and oh, actually one thing I've forgotten to get out is the sugar. Do you want to get out the sugar, buddy?
Yep.
Okay, sugar now we have. So let's try this again. We've got the asparagus all washed up now, as has been the chilies. Now in the recipe, it does talk about using, it talks about hot chili peppers such as jalapenos or cayennes. So obviously got a few jalapenos here that we're going to use today. But it also talks about using red bell peppers and green bell peppers. So that's obviously capsicums here in Australia. I don't have any capsicums today in the freezer, but it actually doesn't matter if I sub out for all chilies. And that's because basically any of your peppers, so chili peppers or, you know, what they call their red and green bell peppers, they can all be kind of substituted because they've got the same kind of acidity. So we're going to just do chili, and to be honest, that's going to go down perfectly fine in our family because we love chili. What else have we got here? the double strength vinegar. So that one there is 8%. Obviously that's greater than the 5%. That's just one that I've grabbed from Woolies, so that's nice and readily available here in Oz. Remember, you do need a vinegar that's over 5% just to make sure the acidity is right in this one. What else have we got? Rock salt. So basically, as with any canning recipe, you want a salt that's not full of kind of fillers, you know, to make sure it doesn't anti-cake, and you don't want like the iodine and all that sort of stuff that can make it cloudy. So that's why I'm using the rock salt. Normal sugar, so we've just got raw sugar, even though it says white sugar on there. Ignore the ginger bug behind. We're not using that in today's recipe. And oh no, the pickling spice. So I do need to show you this one as well. So in the recipe, it actually talks about dill seeds and mustard seeds being used. And I have used that combination in the past, and that's good. But I have also used this combination here, which is one of kind of like the pickling spice mixes. So this one here has both of those seeds. So we can see on the back here, where are we? Mustard seeds, black peppercorns, dill seeds, but there's also kind of like the allspice and bay leaves as well. And that's actually quite nice in it too. And because that's dried spices, you can actually substitute one dried spice kind of for another if you want to change up flavors, and it's still perfectly safe as a canning recipe. So today, that is what we are going to use. First step though is to start chopping. So in the recipe, it talks about cutting these so that they are 2 centimeters shorter than the jar that you're going to put them in. But for us, because we like to put them in salads, so that's how we actually eat most of these, we dump the whole jar into a salad, and the brine that is created when you make this is absolutely delicious as a salad dressing. So because of that, what we do, instead of chopping them like they talk about in the recipe, we actually chop them kind of like that size. And that goes beautifully in a salad. All right, time to chop. So with our asparagus, obviously some of these are quite long and they've definitely got the woody bit on the end with those. What we tend to do is just kind of bend it, and where it breaks, it tends to be the spot where it's not woody anymore. So we can chop from there. All right, let's see that one. Oh, there we go. So that end there is probably a little bit hard. Still nice to munch on. But that there is what we're going to want to put in the jars. Okay, time to start chopping. So do you want to pop the pot on the stove? And with this one, we do need to get the ratio right, because you do need to get the right amount of acid in this one. So in the book, it talks about a much larger batch of asparagus than we have today. So we definitely don't need to do that much brine. What we'll probably do is start off with a bit of a half batch. So do you want to do, let's see, 2.5 cups of white vinegar, and then we'll add in some of the water. 2.5, all right. It's getting a bit hard to see the marks on that one, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what you'll probably do is just do the two first.
And then do half, yeah, that's what I was planning.
Spot on. Oh, you're going to make me redundant in the kitchen soon, aren't you?
I know it sounds silly, but what does redundant mean?
It means not required anymore because you got this.
I thought that was what it meant, but I also kind of thought it meant retired.
No, I'm not quite there yet.
It was 2.5 baht.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. It's very hard to see, but there's a half right there.
Oh, you'll need to go a bit lower because I don't think they can see that. Oh, there we go.
Very hard to see, but it's like very faded. Oh,
yep,
right there. It says half, so.
Perfect. Right, next is water. Right, so 200 ml for that one. Perfecto. Next is going to be sugar.
Yep.
So let's have a bit of a look at the sugar. How much of that one do we want? It says 200 mils of sugar.
I thought graduated sugar to 20.
No, it's the one just above it.
Huh.
So if you do that up to the 200 ml mark, that should work as well.
Here we go.
And we'll probably need the spoon because there was a bit of wet stuff in there before. And then, do you want to give that a bit of a stir?
Yep.
All right, so we are now heating this up because the idea is we obviously are making a brine, so that means we want all of that sugar to now dissolve into that liquid. Okay, you want to just keep stirring that now until it comes up to the boil.
Yep.
You just sniffed it, didn't you?
Yeah, like what the chefs do, you know how they blow the steam into their like face?
Yeah.
I did that and then I realised, oh crap, the vinegar. And it was like, ugh.
So while he's getting that brine to the boil, what I'm going to do is pop in some of the pickling spices, and I'm also going to put in some of the garlic and the chili that I've now mixed together in this little bowl. So with the pickling spices, what I want to do is just pop in half a teaspoon of each. So remember, I am mixing this up from the original recipe, so it is different if you're doing it based on the actual ball book one. It would be I think it would be a tablespoon of the dill seeds and also a tablespoon of the mustard seeds as well for a half pint. So actually that's the other thing I should mention is in the recipe, it actually talks about doing this recipe for pint jars. And I'm obviously doing these today in the smaller ones, the half pints, and I do that really purposefully because of the way we like to use these. So again, what we do is we dump one of these into a salad, the whole lot, brine and all. If we have a whole pint, it's too much, whereas one of these is absolutely perfect for a salad. So that's why we're using that size. But that also means I need to adjust the amount of the spices, and it also means I need to adjust the amount of the chili and the garlic that goes in each one of these as well. Oh, did you say it's bubbling?
Yeah, it's bubbling.
All right, so that means the asparagus can go in there now, and it's got to sit in there for 2 minutes. Do you want to pop the asparagus in?
Yep, I'll go get it. Like, you want to drop it in, but you don't want to burn your hand.
So with this one, it is 1 tablespoon into each one of these. Better just give that a little bit of a mix as well. So I do want to make sure we get both garlic and chili in each of these. And again, just remember, we've adjusted this. If you don't like hot chili, you can of course put in just capsicums. In the original recipe, it was capsicums and chili. But yeah, for us, we don't mind the burn, so making it spicy will be good. It looks like this last one is going to be a little bit lean. I might grab some out of that first one that we did. While you're waiting for that to come back up to the boil, do you want to go and get our scrap stock bag out of the freezer so we can put all these little end bits in there.
Yep.
Because that will go nicely in a next batch of stock.
Alright, I'll go get it now.
Oh, I just had an oh bugger moment. We forgot to put the salt in.
Oh no.
All right, we've got to get the salt in here. Pretty quick smart. And this is actually why I do like to put out all the ingredients at the start. That way there is less chance you're going to forget something. Jeepers, that would have been sweet without the salty. Where is the salt here? Salt, 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 salt. Salt. Okay, hang on a second. Remember, we've got to do half.
That's 10 milliliters of salt.
Yep.
Doesn't say.
You know what? I'm just going to freestyle it. Because remember, salt is about flavour and not so much preservation. I reckon that will be more than enough. Do you want to stir that in? Mm-hmm. Okay. Ooh. That vinegar is powerful, isn't it? What we're going to do next is pop that asparagus in the jars. I am going to use kind of the canning funnel just to make that a little bit less messy. And yeah, we're just going to kind of distribute this across all of these jars. And hopefully we've got enough for them all. Oh, can you check here in the recipe what the headspace is supposed to be for this one?
Wait, I'm leaving 1 centimetre headspace.
1 centimetre, okay. Now, I am going to just redistribute a little bit of this chilli and garlic across a couple of these jars because we're not going to need this last one. It looks like we'll get 7 out of today's batch.
This one looks like it could use a bit more.
That one there, you reckon?
Yeah, I didn't really
Okay.
notice that.
So you can probably see these jars are nowhere near that kind of 1 centimetre, kind of ½ inch headspace. So what I usually do is find that there's a bit of brine left in and I top it up to that level with the brine. So that's what we're going to do now. That's better. That was almost perfect. Next, I just want to give all the rims a little bit of a wipe. And then we're going to get those lids. So do you want to get those lids behind you?
Yeah.
And pop a lid on top of each one of these.
Be very careful not to try to touch the tops. You want to keep it extra clean.
All right, do you want to pop those on top? And I'll grab some too.
Ooh.
Now with the rings, you want to pop those on, but they just need to be finger tight. We don't want to over tighten them.
Oh, they're actually quite warm as well.
Yeah, they are still hot. So this method here is what you call hot pack. And that means that we are going to need to pop these into a hot steam canner in a second. But we are going to cheat a little bit on that one today. And what we're going to do is actually fill it with hot water out of the kettle. And then we're going to take it to the biogas burner outside. So to speed this up a bit, we are going to just use some hot water out of the kettle. That may not be enough to fill it though. Yeah, we'll need a little bit more. That should do the trick. And now that's obviously not a cold canner anymore. It means that we can put these jars straight on there, and it means that we're putting like a hot jar into a canner that's kind of hot, and that means that you're not going to have thermal breakage of your jars. Because it is a bit of a gnarly day today outside, what I've done is put the shroud around the biogas burner, and that just means it won't blow out. But yeah, that should do the trick. We do have plenty of gas in the biogas today, so that will be well and truly fine for the 10-minute processing time. I haven't started that time yet because you can see the little dial in the top here. It's not into the green zone. That's when we'll start our 10 minutes. And if you haven't seen it, we've got separate videos. There's actually a canning basics series. So if you're not too sure about all this steam canning stuff and what we're doing, you might want to check that out because that goes through step by step how and why we do the processing like this. Even though it's steamy, we're still not quite there yet. Now it's in the green zone. I'm going to set my timer for the next 10 minutes. Might be a bit wet, but it's still not a bad spot to wait out the processing time. Whoop. That's time to turn it off. But I won't take the lid off quite yet. We want to leave that for the next 5 and then I'll pull it off. That's 5 minutes all done. So let's take that lid off. And as always, I'm going to face that away from me because, hear the pings. So I was facing that away from me because of all that steam that comes out. And there we go. There is our asparagus. You can see a lot of it's kind of floated to the top in those jars, but yeah, they are going to be delicious in salads, and of course we will do more as well. Now, one thing I am going to say is you can see in these that they weren't like really full of asparagus, and I could have added a little bit more, particularly with the ratios that is in the recipe. But again, it doesn't really matter because we're going to use the juice as like salad dressing anyway, and they will still be really good. But I did just want to mention that because, yeah, you can see they are a little bit short in a few of the jars. One of the reasons that I did do this batch as early as I have done is because I did kind of share the picking of the asparagus that I did earlier in the week, and that was on our Facebook. And when I did that, there was a few people kind of asking about the sort of things that we do, and I mentioned that we do the pickled asparagus, and there was a little bit of interest in how to go about doing this one. So when I do this again, when we've got a bit more asparagus that's come through, I probably will fill those jars a little bit more for the next batches. But yeah, hopefully this gives you a good idea of how we do go about kind of pickling up our asparagus. And I do really recommend this. This is one of our absolute favorite recipes that we do with kind of pickles in jars. So yeah, definitely highly recommend giving it a go if you've got asparagus in your garden at the moment as well. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed following along with my youngest and I today as we did our kind of pick and pickle of asparagus. And hopefully this gives you the confidence to give this recipe a go too, if this is something you might want to give a go of. As always, thanks a bunch for joining, and catch you later. Good morning. It's early the next morning, but I just thought I'd show you what these look like before I take the rings off. And now that all that asparagus isn't kind of floated up and bunched at the top. So that is our finished jars. Now it's time to take off the rings and start marking them up. And I will make sure I share when we use some of these on our Facebook probably. We probably won't get a chance to make another video because I do have a few things lined up for you guys. But yeah, if you check out our Facebook, I'll show you one of the salads that we use one of these jars in.